There comes a moment in every life, in every legacy, where a man stands at the intersection of desire and discipline. One road is easy, paved with comfort, with excuses, with applause for mediocrity. The other is merciless. It demands everything, your habits, your mind, your mornings, your blood, your soul. But that road builds empires. Every great name you know, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Lincoln, they didn't stumble into greatness. They forged it, and they all did it with the same unseen weapon. Discipline, not raw talent, not good timing, not even luck. Discipline, the kind that wakes before the world rises, the kind that does the work no one applauds every day for years. Look around you. The world worships results, but it forgets the rituals. It celebrates the man on the throne, but forgets the man alone in the dark, chiseling himself with daily pain. Because that's what discipline is, self-chiseling. It is the daily sacrifice of who you are for who you could become. Thomas Edison failed 0 times. People laughed. He didn't. He kept showing up, because discipline is louder than doubt, stronger than ridicule. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 zeros. 0 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of a man possessed by purpose, a man ruled by discipline, not emotion. The masses move with moods, the masters move with mission. And this is the great divide in human potential. Most people only work when they feel like it, but feelings are liars. Discipline doesn't negotiate with weakness. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't care if you're tired, scared, or uninspired. Discipline acts even when motivation is dead, because motivation is a spark. Discipline is the flame that never goes out. Andrew Carnegie built a steel empire from scratch, but he started as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory. $1.20 a week. No money, no status, just an immigrant boy with brutal discipline. He read by candlelight, worked endless shifts, studied every successful man he could find. He didn't wait for his shot, he created it. Day by day, page by page, action by action. Discipline is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you were born. It doesn't care what you've been through. It only cares what you're willing to do daily without fail. You want to change your destiny, change your daily routine. Most people want transformation without repetition. They crave greatness without grind, but nature doesn't work that way. You don't plant a seed and see fruit in a day. You water it, you shield it, you believe in what you can't see. And that's what discipline is, the belief that if you keep showing up, the harvest will come. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. His first studio went bankrupt. He slept in his office, ate beans from a can, but every morning he showed up. Because discipline doesn't need applause, it needs a mission. He once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." But courage means nothing without consistency. Dreams mean nothing without daily devotion. Lincoln lost 8 elections, had a nervous breakdown, failed in business, but he had something his enemies didn't, the discipline to keep going. That's why he changed a nation, because he first conquered himself. You want to build an empire, start by ruling your mind. The mind is a kingdom. Undisciplined, it is chaos ruled by fear, laziness, doubt, and distraction. Disciplined, it is a fortress impenetrable, unshakable, lethal. And that kingdom is forged in daily decisions, not grand gestures, not lucky breaks, but tiny choices made relentlessly. Wake or sleep, read or scroll, focus or flee. Your empire begins in your morning. Because the man who owns his morning owns his day, and the man who owns his day owns his life. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, says discipline equals freedom. That's not a contradiction, it's the ultimate truth. Because when you master yourself, nothing else owns you. Not hunger, not fatigue, not distraction, not doubt. You become untouchable. You become dangerous not to others, but to your excuses. Discipline is the difference between knowing what you want and actually getting it. It's the bridge between vision and reality, between wishing and winning, and most people will never cross that bridge. They'll stand at the edge their whole lives full of potential, but empty of discipline. Watching others rise while they rationalize their stagnation, but not you, because you feel it, that fire inside you, that ache to rise, that voice that says you were made for more, and that voice is right. But it will die if you don't act on it. Inspiration fades, discipline must remain. No one will hand you your empire. You build it, brick by brick, habit by habit, discipline by discipline, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Pain is the forge of the disciplined, because it's in the pain that you meet the real you, the one beyond comfort, beyond fear, beyond weakness. That version of you is a warrior, a builder, an emperor in the making, and discipline is your sword. You see, we live in a world addicted to shortcuts. Everyone wants the 6-minute solution, the 3-step hack, the easy button to success. But empires aren't hacked together. They are hewn from stone, carved from the cliffs of difficulty, raised through sweat and solitude, and the only blueprint worth following is discipline. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile, but he made it accessible to the world. Why? Because he didn't chase popularity, he chased perfection through process. He revolutionized production through relentless refinement. One system, one improvement, one disciplined adjustment at a time. Ford understood something most never grasp. Excellence is not a moment. It is a method, and that method is married to discipline. Do you know why most people quit? It's not because the goal is unreachable. It's because their discipline collapses under pressure, when it gets boring, when no one's watching. When the dopamine runs dry and the real work begins, that's when empires either rise or fall. Not in public, but in private. Not under lights, but in shadows. That's where discipline thrives in the dark. No applause, no validation. Just you versus the voice that says, skip today. That voice is the enemy, and every time you silence it, you sharpen your edge. You harden your resolve. You inch closer to greatness, because greatness isn't a strike of lightning, it's a slow burn, a steady hammer, 1,000 repetitions until mastery becomes muscle memory. Think about that for a moment. Repetition is not punishment. It is power. You train the mind like a soldier trains for war, not with motivation, but with muscle, daily drills, morning rituals, nightly reviews. You train discipline the same way you train a skill, through consistency, feedback, and relentless application. Michael Jordan shot hundreds of free throws before sunrise. Kobe Bryant practiced jumpers in empty gyms while others slept. Not because they were forced, but because they were possessed. Discipline was their religion. Mastery their altar. And what about you? You say you want greatness, but have you earned the right to say it? Have you bled for it, sacrificed for it? Or do you only want the crown, not the crucifixion? Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. Every empire demands a sacrifice. Comfort will be the first to die, then pride, then distraction, then the need for applause. And if you're not willing to kill those things, you're not ready to build. You were not born to be average. You were born to construct something timeless. But before you build anything out there, you must construct something unshakable in here touches chest. And that structure begins with discipline. Discipline is the architect of your future. It draws the lines between what you say and what you do. It separates the dreamers from the doers, the pretenders from the professionals, the noise from the signal. Do you know why most people never rise? Because they treat discipline like a punishment instead of a privilege. They don't understand. Discipline is freedom wearing a uniform. It is the muscle behind vision. It is the price of admission to greatness. You want to master your craft? Out. Discipline your competition. You want to lead a legacy? Out. Discipline your own doubts. You want to build an empire, then build a life around the habits that few are willing to suffer for. The Roman Empire wasn't built overnight. It was constructed over centuries by a civilization obsessed with systems, order, law, repetition. Discipline turned a small city into a kingdom that spanned continents. And the same principle applies to you. You may feel small now, but daily discipline is what turns a man into a movement. One habit at a time, one hard choice at a time, one rejection survived, one victory earned. Your greatness is buried under 1,000 mundane decisions that no one will ever applaud. That's why it's yours, not theirs. While they scroll, you study. While they sleep, you grind. While they distract, you build. And while they beg for results, you commit to the routine. Because you understand this truth, the future belongs to the disciplined. And the next version of you, the one you see when you close your eyes and picture power, success, influence, peace, that version is only unlocked through daily struggle, daily work, daily wins, not grand declarations. So what will you choose today? Comfort or construction, distraction or discipline? Make the decision and make it again tomorrow and the day after that, until the decision becomes your identity. Purpose without discipline is a dream with no wings. It's a map with no footsteps, a throne with no king. Clarity means nothing if you don't move. Vision dies without action, and action dies without structure. That structure, that spine that holds the entire empire upright, is discipline. You can feel it, can't you? That pull towards something greater, that whisper inside saying you're meant for more. That whisper is your purpose, but it will never become a roar unless you feed it with disciplined action. A man without discipline is a man at war with his own potential, and that war is internal. It's not fought with swords or bullets. It's fought every morning you wake up tired, every evening you're tempted to quit, every second you feel like hiding from the work. That's where the war is won. One thought at a time, one choice at a time. Alexander the Great conquered half the known world before the age of 30, not because he was the strongest, but because his will was unbreakable. He trained harder, studied deeper, and demanded more from himself than anyone else would. He believed in destiny, but he backed it with discipline. He was not just born to lead, he forged himself into a leader. That's what separates those who make history from those who read about it. Discipline is the execution of belief. Most people never build anything lasting because they confuse excitement with execution. They think a moment of inspiration is enough. But you don't build an empire with sparks, you build it with firewood stacked every single day. You light that fire with your habits, your mindset, your consistency. And let's get something straight. Discipline is not just about grind. It's not just waking up early and doing push-ups. No, discipline is about alignment. It's about knowing exactly what you're here to do and ruthlessly cutting away everything that doesn't serve that mission. It's about clarity, ruthless, focused, unwavering clarity. When you know your mission, truly know it, every yes and every no becomes clear. You stop chasing everything, you stop spreading yourself thin, you simplify, you lock in, and then you repeat. That's how empires are built, not with complexity, but with focus enforced by discipline. Steve Jobs said, "Focus is about saying no." He wasn't just talking about distractions. He was talking about clarity, the kind of clarity that is powered by disciplined intention. You can't build a legacy on scattered effort. You can't rise with diluted purpose. You rise when you decide that nothing else matters more than the mission. Discipline is loyalty to your future. It is saying yes to that future version of you, the one who's already successful, powerful, composed, respected, and living today as if you've already stepped into his shoes. It's acting like the man you want to become before you feel like him. That's the secret every powerful person knows. You don't wait to feel like a king. You act like one until the world can't tell the difference. And this requires obsession, precision, sacrifice. This requires doing the same hard things on the days you don't feel like it because your vision is more real than your excuses. Discipline is a promise you make to your highest self and keep when no one else is looking. And let's not sugarcoat this. There will be days when it hurts, when it feels like your empire is invisible, when you wonder if it's all worth it. Those days are sacred. Those are the tests. And if you pass them, if you remain disciplined in the storm, you become unbreakable. Because storms don't build character, they reveal it, and discipline is the armor that protects you when the winds of chaos blow hardest. Nelson Mandela survived 27 years in prison and still emerged a world leader. That wasn't luck. That was discipline of the highest order. Mental, emotional, spiritual discipline. He trained his thoughts, trained his peace, trained his resolve. He knew, you don't control your circumstances, but you damn well control your response. And that's what building an empire really means, mastering your response, not just to failure, but to victory, not just to fear, but to opportunity, not just to critics, but to praise. Discipline keeps you grounded when you win, humble when you rise, hungry when you succeed, because the moment you stop honoring the rituals that built you, your empire begins to rot. Discipline is not the thing that gets you started. It's the thing that keeps you immortal. So, what does your discipline look like today? Is your schedule worthy of your ambition? Are your habits aligned with your destiny? Are you showing up like your future depends on it because it does? Because no one stumbles into legacy. No one wakes up accidentally legendary. Discipline is the only passport to the place you say you want to go. And every morning you either validate that with your actions or you betray it with your excuses. It's the decision to keep building when the winds tear your scaffolding apart. It's when your plans collapse, your friends disappear, your doubts scream louder than your dreams, and still you show up. Still you hammer, still you choose forward. Discipline without resilience is fragile. It's a sword that breaks in battle. But discipline fortified by resilience, that's unbreakable. That's the kind of power that bends reality. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before the light bulb. Do you understand what that means? 10,000 experiments, 10,000 disciplined attempts, not just ideas executions, not just patience unyielding resolve. That is empire building. People like Edison didn't view failure as a dead end. They saw it as data, feedback, an essential part of the blueprint. The disciplined mind understands that setbacks are setups in disguise. That the universe doesn't test the weak, it trains the worthy. And if you are building something that matters, you will be tested. You will be stretched, underestimated, ignored. You will face humiliation, frustration, and temptation. But each one of these is an invitation, not to break but to build, to strengthen the steel inside you. Discipline is what gets you up. Resilience is what keeps you going when getting up no longer feels like enough. And there's another layer to this, emotional mastery, because to build something that lasts, you must rule over yourself first, your anger, your fears, your cravings, your self-doubt. Discipline isn't just about time management, it's about self-command. Can you stay calm in chaos? Can you think straight when storms rage? Can you choose the long game over the quick thrill? That's emotional maturity, and it is built, brick by brick, through discipline. You see, every empire has walls not to keep people out, but to keep distractions out, doubts out, temptations out. Those walls are boundaries, and boundaries are born from discipline. You don't need to control the world. You only need to control you. Control your thoughts, and you control your actions. Control your actions, and you control your outcomes. Control your outcomes long enough, and the world bends, not by force, by focus. That's the difference between effort and impact. Disciplined focus. You want to make an impact. You want to lead. Then start by mastering the art of doing the hard thing, especially when it's inconvenient. The disciplined man is not interested in comfort. He is interested in control, control over his day, his mind, his destiny, and destiny doesn't come to the loudest voice. It comes to the quietest repetition. It finds the man who chose to be excellent on ordinary days. It rewards the one who said no to ease, yes to sweat, yes to silence, yes to the lonely road because he understood one thing. Discipline is not suffering. It is sovereignty. It is you claiming dominion over the hours, the habits, the thoughts that most people surrender, and the reward, power, peace, purpose. You will never meet a truly powerful man who is not deeply, almost obsessively disciplined. Because power without discipline is corruption. Wealth without discipline is emptiness. Freedom without discipline is chaos. You want wealth? Structure your time. You want freedom? Master your mind. You want peace? Eliminate noise. You want to rise? Then regulate your world. Build routines that guard your energy. Build rituals that fuel your soul. Build rhythms that support your legacy. That's the hidden truth of discipline. It's not about restriction. It's about optimization. It's not prison, it's precision. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day not because someone tells him to, but because he disciplines his curiosity. He treats information like capital. You think that's luck. No, that's a system, and systems are the offspring of discipline. So here's the question no one wants to ask themselves. Are you serious about your vision, or are you just emotionally attached to the idea of success? Because one requires commitment, the other just wants applause. One keeps going when the world's not clapping. The other folds when it stops getting likes. But you, if you're still listening, then you are not like them. You are the builder, the one who feels something ancient in your chest, a fire, a voice, a responsibility. You know this life is not just about surviving, it's about creating something immortal. That is your task. To rise above distraction, above delay, above doubt, and forge a path so unshakable, even the storms take shelter. Discipline is the road. You either walk it or you wish you had. Empires are not built in chaos, they are built through chaos. And the builders are not the loudest men in the room. They are the ones who mastered the quiet, the unseen hours, the dull ache of repetition, the discipline of showing up day after day, even when nothing around them applauded. They don't chase motivation. They don't wait for inspiration. They build with conviction. That is the foundation. That is the brick. That is the steel. You want to know how the pyramids were raised, one stone at a time. You want to know how Ford revolutionized industry, one decision at a time, how Disney created magic from dust, one drawing, one rejection, one stubborn, relentless day of disciplined imagination at a time. You are not different from them. The blood in your veins carries the same fire, the same soul, the same spark, but that spark must be forged, sharpened, strengthened. Not just in moments of victory, but in the hours of obscurity when no one believes, when the world doubts, when even you start to wonder if the vision is real. And that is when discipline saves you. Not motivation, not positivity, not luck, discipline, because discipline is the language of destiny. It is the code of the Creator, the way of the warrior, the rhythm of the architect who sculpts reality with nothing but decision, focus, and persistence. It is the sculptor who chips away at stone until a masterpiece appears. It is the musician who repeats scales until his soul lives in every note. It is the athlete who trains in the dark, so the world can watch him shine under lights. It is the father who keeps promises, the mother who keeps boundaries, the leader who keeps rising, not because it's easy, but because others need him too. It is sacrifice, structure, and sacred obsession rolled into one fireproof force, the discipline to do what others won't, so you can live how others can't, and that is what builds empires. Empires are not just cities. Not just businesses, not just fortunes. Empires are legacies, movements, moments in history that would not have existed unless you chose to rise. Your name, your life, your voice, they were not born to be whispers. They were born to echo through time, to cast a shadow bigger than your own life, to light a path for those who come after you. But you will never get there if you are owned by weakness. You will never become great if you bow to convenience. Your empire will stay dust if you do not command it with daily, deliberate, disciplined force. Because here's the truth. You are always building something, always, every decision, every delay, every repetition. You are either building your power or your prison. If you want to rise, you must choose the narrow road, the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices no one sees, the victories no one applauds. Because those moments, those lonely, unsexy, invisible moments are what make kings, and one day the world will ask, how did he do it? How did he become unstoppable? How did he turn nothing into everything? And they won't understand. Because they never saw the early battles, the silent pain, the relentless hours of discipline. The empire wasn't built overnight, it was built brick by invisible brick, in silence, in solitude, in sacrifice. But you'll know exactly how it was done, because you lived it. So now, rise like it's already yours. Walk like the foundation is already under your feet. Think like a king, work like a servant, and never, never let your future self down. Because he's waiting, and he's watching, and the throne is yours, if you're willing to earn it by discipline and discipline alone.